Welcome into Black and Gold Insider. This is the show where we get to know the members of the Black and Gold a little bit later. A man that we've had on in the past in some of our content plays, and we're always thrilled to have him, especially on a day like this. It is LAFC Co-President Larry Freedman. And I mentioned that, Larry, because you've been here from the beginning and you have an interesting perspective. This had to be something. I mean, this had to, not closure, but had to feel like, hey, man, we have reached quite the summit.
For sure. So first of all, thank you for having me back and continuing to have me back. And Saturday night was, and everybody who was there or watching the broadcast knows it was an electric and very unique environment at BMO Stadium where I don't know, from where I was, 50-50, maybe even 55 or more percent yellow jerseys for Club America. And they were not quiet and, really, really brought it and clearly had some songs and chants where not only their supporters in the South End, but anybody in a yellow jersey in the building took part, and it got really, really loud. And the 32-52 found a way to go, first they went to Spinal Tap 11 and kept pushing it higher. And it was what football should be. It was truly a spectacular experience. And I think we've learned from some of our big game experiences that we just don't win without some drama, right? The MLS Cup had more than a little bit of drama and some moments where we're all thinking, oh my God, it's really going to end like this? No. And even, that US Open Cup final, we're winning the game and Kansas City ties, and the next thing you know, you're going into extra and anything can happen. And same thing on Saturday night. Was it a good call? I don't know. You were on the broadcast, Max, but you're left in the latter stages of regulation thinking, I can't believe this is how this is going to end. We're going to go down on a PK taken, not coincidentally, by Raito. And we've had the better of play. On the night, we were the better team and clearly the better team. And, Olivier came in and some momentum, and you were close. And the next thing you know, you tie the game and you're going into extra time. It was just something else. But the Kaiser doctors all, are talking about people's hearts after the game because it was not for the faint of heart. So there you go.
Our good partners at Kaiser. And look, we were resigning.
Our good partners at Kaiser.
This could have been a different tenor of an interview. We said, hey, the guys played well, but they found a way. They scored in the North End. And this changes everything, right, Larry? This result is
yeah, look, every opportunity like this where you seize the day and you win an MLS Cup in what was declared an instant classic, and by many, as of that moment, the best MLS match ever played, bar none. And that garners certain interest and attention, which is great. It's great for our club. It's great for our venue. It's great for our fans. And, you pick up some other trophies along the way. And then this, we've talked a lot about this amongst ourselves, especially people who were here in 2020. We played America in the first head-to-head that mattered, but it was just so different. It was in a bubble, no fans, and it was a bit of a afterthought of, are we going to finish CONCACAF, then Champions League, now Champions Cup. Are we even going to finish it? Right?
We didn't know.
We had vanquished Leon in exceptionally dramatic fashion, by putting up 3 goals and winning on aggregate at home in one of the greatest nights in the stadium's history, in the club's history. And, it just feels like that match had nowhere near the attention or the anticipation, the buildup, the flair, the drama that this one did. And, obviously this one was helped by the fact that we all knew what was on the line, right? You had the golden ticket to go to the Club World Cup in this new, really exciting format, and to see to see our crest, next to Juventus, along, PSG, BVB, our friends at Bayern Munich, Chelsea, Flamengo, and like, I just can't stop looking at that graphic. And it's not every day that in for an MLS club, you have a bit of a WWE Money in the Bank moment where, I'm surprised Infantino didn't walk out, with a briefcase with the prize money, the qualification money in it, handcuffed to his
Great
wrist.
idea.
Right? If I had produced the game, that's what would have happened. So I just think that, there was a lot of buildup to this, and it felt to me like, the eyes of the football world were upon us, because, there are clubs from all over the world at the top end of, the ladder, heading to the US in a couple weeks to play in this tournament. And everyone's curious who's going to fill that last spot. And, we play the biggest club in Mexico, arguably the club with the biggest fan base in LA. And we beat them. And they couldn't, they did not leave BMO Stadium thinking, this is just one of those nights where you outplay your opponent, but the ball doesn't go in the net. They know that we were the better team on the night. And that's big for us.
Do you think we can get him back in the building? I know Steve Cherundolo said he loved him in the preseason. Do they want to come back? Because they've had
Look,
two dates here, which have been incredible.
one of the really nice things about the world of global football is that you get to meet and get to know folks at these other clubs, and working with the people at America, both on that preseason friendly as well as the match on Saturday, has been great. And, great people, great to work with. Really see, we're in it with us to, hey, like, we want to put on the best show possible, on Saturday night. And so, the door is open. We would love to have them back. And you know how it is. People have calendars that are tricky, and World Cup coming next
Jam-packed.
year and everything. But, we will make the call and invite them back. And look, I think, we've talked about it a little bit amongst ourselves. We'd love to go there. That would be awesome to go there and, you know, play a friendly. We would love it.
Sounds good to me. Road trip. Packing my bags right
Road
now.
trip. Yeah.
Packing my bags, Larry.
Let's go.
How big of a deal is this? Not just for LAFC, but for FIFA. Did you get a call from Johnny Infantino? Did he get on the hotline and say, "Congratulations, Larry, for making it"? But this is, you mentioned it's in the US. Everything, 2 big tournaments here. This is a part of it. So it's great for LAFC to be in it. But from the FIFA perspectives, I know you're involved in a lot of the LA stuff.
Yeah. So I think that, clearly they have a certain affinity for LA. Obviously SoFi is going to host 8 matches. First match for the U.S. men's national team in the 2026 World Cup. They're going to do a second group stage game with the U.S. at SoFi, and then on through the quarters, there will be games at SoFi, and Club World Cup will be here. Unfortunately, the way it worked out with us getting in, unlike Seattle and Miami, who will be playing at home or closer to home, we're going on the road. But FIFA was very happy. This got pulled together in very short order. We would have loved to have had much more time to pull it all together, plan it, tickets, etc. But, we did not have the luxury of time because of the, Club Leon appeal to the Court of Sport Arbitration, and that had to run its course. So by the time that got decided and FIFA took the decision to have the playoff between LAFC and America, and after looking around at where could we do it, it landed at our place. Um, you know, they were in Mr. Infantino was not in the building, but Matthias, his second in command was, and a whole slew of other FIFA folks, and Victor from
Wow.
CONCACAF was in the building. And, more than anything, everybody was just thrilled with the environment and that the match, you know, played off the way it did. If you didn't have a rooting interest, you got a great game with considerable drama, and the two fan bases brought it. So it was really great. And, our friends at FIFA were very complimentary of, everyone they worked with, the stadium staff, customer service, security, operations, the grounds crew, Brooklyn and her team who put on the show, and, our marketing squad and our ticketing squad. It was a lot of work. It was a heavy lift to make it happen in such a short time frame. And, you know, we kept saying, like, look, it's our honor. It's our honor to be in the match, and it's our honor to have the host venue and to be doing this work. Um, you know, who would say no?
But it's great. You had all these eyeballs in the building. They're going, this is great.
Yeah,
This
for
is
sure. And I
tremendous. This
think,
club is the real deal.
yeah, and hopefully, it bodes well in the future, whether it's hosting Gold Cup or another iteration of the Club World Cup if it comes back to the US at some point. As I like, we're not SoFi, we're not the Rose Bowl, we're not the Coliseum. We can't do 70, 80, 90,000 people. But as I've said since the doors opened, we're the Manny Pacquiao of football venues. Pound for pound, we're the best.
I love that. How come I haven't used that one? That's a good one. I will
I
show you
don't
many.
know.
I don't know. So you mentioned the timing for this game. So you only have 2 weeks for when
Yeah.
this tournament starts. And it's, as it stands, 3 games in 8 days or what have you. What is on the list? What's on the absolute must? I mean, you obviously can't do as much as you'd want to build it up if you had 6 months, but in 2 weeks, what's on the top list that LAFC has to accomplish before that kickoff against Chelsea on the 16th?
Yeah, look, we are fortunate that, we have great partners in this with FIFA and DAZN. I think if you look at the way the match on Saturday was covered, it was spectacular on every social media platform throughout the global sports media and beyond. It was really great. And so, we just need to take advantage of the moment and, you know, do whatever we can. There's going to be a trophy tour over the next little bit, a couple days later this week to, help build momentum
The
around the
Is it
tournament.
the FIFA Club World Cup trophy, the one that
Yes,
LAC will
yes,
have their
yes.
hands on in a few weeks? I'm just kidding, but maybe you never know.
Well, well, kind of like the Stanley Cup. It was in the director's box at the stadium on Saturday night, and you only touch it if you win it. So I stayed away. Stayed away.
I did the same.
But
I saw it there. I was like,
yes. Um, Now, look, man, it is a very, very unique opportunity to participate in a reimagination of this tournament. And you can see how the vision is that, make it every 4 years, not annually, and have a broader participant base than in the past. And, it feels to me like we're on a path where there's no reason that this tournament should not be considered the companion piece to the World Cup itself, right? Best national team in the World Cup, best club team in the Club World Cup. And I just, in the past, it it did not get its due as a competition, right? We were always saying, we need to achieve certain things within MLS or in the US Open Cup so that we can punch a ticket to CONCACAF so that then we can get to the Club World Cup. And, I don't know that that message has resonated up until now all that well. And I keep saying, in 2020, in the bubble, when we lose to Tigres 2-1, and they go on to the Club World Cup in Qatar, and they play in the final against Bayern Munich, that was our game. That should have been
Could have been
our game.
us.
That should have been us. And, you know, we've we've always talked about being a global brand and taking the opportunities to step on to the international stage and show well. And I think we've done that, though we've come up a wee bit short the two times we've competed in CONCACAF. But, for a club that showed up in it was either late 2019 or early 2020 for the draw. They used to do the draw in person. Club reps would go
Yeah.
in Mexico City. And we walk in there in 2020 and there's a red carpet and they're interviewing in the press. And like legit, nobody cares that we're there. Like, who are these guys? Like, never heard of them. And I think after competing and, running to finals twice, people know who we are. And I would expect that other clubs participating in CONCACAF, don't necessarily want to draw LAFC. And so the hope is that, we go into this one and maybe people underestimate us because we're the last people in or the last club in. And, we can surprise some folks. And, you know, like more people know our name.
Good things come to those who wait, Larry. Instead of going to Qatar, now you get to go to Atlanta to play Chelsea and Flamengo
Exactly.
Orlando. So it's very cool.
Yeah.
Part of the benefits of this tournament is FIFA allows you to start your summer business a few weeks early.
Yeah.
So with regards to that, do you foresee with those circumstances that perhaps LAFC will be active, maybe to get someone in early to maybe build in for the back end of summer and 2026 and what have you?
Yeah. Yeah. Look, I think my friend, brother, co-president, our general manager, John Thorrington, has been working it from the final whistle. And John and Neil and Mario and the rest of the squad, they were working it before, right? Trying to see what was within the realm of possibility. The trick is, however, we have the ability to make some moves, but you can't just bring in people without room. So you have to find room. So they're working really, really hard and being creative to try and, see if there aren't a couple of pieces. When you're it's your transfer window, but it's not anybody else's. It's a little bit tricky. But
Yeah, got to cut both ways.
yes, but and I have said this before, if there is anybody or any group of somebodies who can figure it out, it's John and our folks. Because how do I know that? Because they always do.
Well, and you said it. Look, this changes everything. When you walked on that red carpet, they didn't know. They know who LAFC is now. And then this result resonated. Every Mexican newspaper and TV show was talking LAFC complimentary. So now you step in this stage, and this is a different Club World Cup. You don't get one game and maybe, fifth
Right.
place game. You'll have 3 games, maybe more. And you're going to play Chelsea, Flamengo and Esperance of Tunis, hopefully more games. How do you anticipate relationships being built and the brand of LAFC being built? Because now Chelsea, we know how big they are. Flamengo is massive in South America, and then you get some eyeballs. But approaching that, shaking hands with everyone there, so that LAFC might, you might see a cap in Rio de Janeiro or in West London or whatever, or in Toulouse.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think, look, anytime people outside of the norm have a reason to hop on their phone or hop on their laptop or their desktop, open up a web browser and Google LAFC, right? So I would expect, because this is what I would, do, I would expect that in the UK, there are Chelsea fans and others, and maybe even throughout Europe, clubs that are in this tournament, and South America, all over the world, clubs in this tournament, people who follow those clubs are curious. Well, who is this team? Like, what's LAFC? And if you spend a few minutes digging into our history, you find, wait, Gareth Bale, really?
Yeah.
Chiellini. Chiellini. How about that? Carlos Vela. I know Carlos Vela. And,
Hey, cool
oh,
colors. Look at this team. Cool team.
cool colors. Look, we have always, when the crest was developed, part of that exercise was to put it on a piece of paper and look at it next to all of the crests in MLS and all of the logos in Los Angeles, and step back and think to yourself, how does that compare? How does that look? And we all obviously we always felt it looked pretty good. So hopefully people are looking at the graphics that I keep staring at, that FIFA has produced, and are saying, that's a cool logo. Let me, what is that? Who is that? And I think the great thing for us, although our history is short, eighth season playing, if you read our page on Wikipedia or, watch some YouTube videos, go watch highlights from last Saturday, your interest should be piqued to learn more. And, maybe make Richard Roscoe happy. Go buy a hat. Go buy a hat. And
Buy
like
a
you
hat.
said, wear it in Rio de Janeiro, or somewhere in the UK, somewhere in Southeast Asia. Wear a hat.
Wear a hat. And I didn't even think about the local impact, how LAFC can grow in this city, because maybe the Lakers haven't played in a World Cup, or the Dodgers. Maybe they have. I don't know. I don't think they played in a World Cup. This is a first.
Yeah. And look, I think we knew this going in 2014. And Peter Guber said it from the minute he got involved in the project. LA is a star town, and LA is a town where you're expected to win. People expect the Lakers to win. They expect the Dodgers to win. Expect everybody to win. And this was a different kind of win that opened a different kind of opportunity for our club. And I think it definitely will have opened some eyes and bring some new folks into the conversation, into the tent. And look, I am hoping, is it, for the sake of the discussion, let's assume that 11,000 of the people in the building on Saturday were Club America fans. And some of them we know, like Robbie Gomez, who used to work with us, divided house. He's a divided person, grew up an America fan, worked at the club, loves the club. Who do you root for? Put those people aside. I am hoping that there's some number of America fans who live in LA who left the building thinking, you know what? This place is awesome. And you know what? LAFC is a pretty good club. I can't go watch America in person all the time. I'll do this. If we could pick up 50, 100, 200 of those folks, there
Yeah,
there is there is room on the bus.
a
And
little bit
look, we
here, a little bit.
all
It makes a
yeah, we
difference.
all sup yeah, we all support more than one of everything. Come on, being honest. I watch a lot of Bundesliga football, Max.
Who's your club there? Oh, Bayern?
Bayern,
Bayern, okay.
they're our partner, so I
Yes.
consume
You could have been cheeky and
ridiculous
said,
amounts.
I'm going Hoffenheim this year.
Yeah. Well, look, there will always be a soft spot in my heart for St. Pauli.
Right on.
Um, anybody who plays AC/DC when their team walks out on the pitch is all right with me.
Skull and Crossbones, their logo. You can't beat
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
This is Larry. This is tremendous. We appreciate you joining us. It's not just going over to win new fans, to get that imprint on the global stage. There's so much to benefit. We just want to soak in as much as we can. And as you said to me before we did this, great to be on this ride together with you.
Well, and Max, hey, what if I had told you, when you were thinking about coming to LA, coming from ESPN, you're going to come back to the West Coast and you're going to jump on with this expansion team that has never played a game. If I had told you, on top of all the other stuff we've done in 2024, what if I told you in 2024 we'd play in the Club World Cup and our first match would be against Chelsea? Are you in? What would
I
your
mean,
answer have been, Max
sure
Bretos?
thing, Larry. I'm all in, my friend.
All
Tremendous.
right.
Congratulations to everything you and
Hey,
this LAFC team has been able to create and produce. And I know a lot of memories have been made and more to be made. We'll see you later this month.
thanks, Max. Take it
Larry
easy.
Freedman, co-president here of LAFC, joining us here on Black and Gold Insider. Everything you need to know about the impact that will be the FIFA Club World Cup. We'll be back again next week. We're not going anywhere. Busy month of June. You're at the right place. We'll talk to you soon. Until next time, let's go Black and Gold.